He roamed the lonely plains, stuck in a dream. Only Bear was there to guide him. Was Bear his entity? Was Bear who he was searching for? No one will know. Enter the dream.
Join the team.
Hey team! Oh man, I totally screwed that up. Hey team, this is the McGuire review, and we have got something beyond sweet today, I would say. This is the brand new, the highly anticipated Etherfields from Awaken Realms. This is a complete prototype copy, and I will say that we're going to go over all the components here. We are going to go over how the mechanics of this game work and just how cool this game is. We're going to look at a little bit of the miniature cam up front. Bear will load that up for us. And we are also going to do a very quick amount of gameplay just so you can kind of see how those mechanics start to work together. All right, so Etherfields. It is coming to Kickstarter very soon, within probably a day or so after this video is released. And with that, we will tune up the
Epic level giveaway that
we are doing on this title. And what could we have done, team? We could have given away this fantastic prototype edition of this game. However, this prototype is really designed for reviewers. It's designed as a demo. It's not necessarily a prototype where a good bulk of amount of gameplay is there and you can start from the very beginning and sort of just play through. It is specifically designed that you're starting in Chapter 3 of the 10 chapters that will be available. At least what's been communicated, 10 chapters. There may be more through the Kickstarter or whatnot. But this game is comprised of 10 chapters, and you start in sort of chapter number 3. So the decks are specifically designed for that. So we're not going to go with the prototype giveaway. We are going to sweeten the deal and make it even better. The giveaway will be, Bear, drumroll please. We couldn't afford that sound effect? Okay, the giveaway will be for a core Kickstarter production box with all stretch goals. That's right. It will be for the full production game with all stretch goals, the Kickstarter box. Now, I will be selecting the winner on this one 4 days before the end of the Kickstarter. That way, whoever is the winner, if you have backed, you can choose to cancel your back and get the game, or you can stay with your backing and get 2 copies. You can do whatever you want with that second copy. You can sell it. You can give it to a friend. You can just have an extra copy with all the amazing miniatures that come in this title. The miniatures in this one, team, are literally off the charts. It is next level stuff. I mean, they are super, super highly detailed and sculpted. They just did an absolutely fantastic job with the sculpts in this game. I mean, all of their games, the miniatures are fantastic. This one, they're off the charts. I've got a purple fuzz hair on me. Back to Unicorn Land. But you know how it works, team. Hit that subscribe button. Comment below. 4 days before the Kickstarter is over, Bear is going to hit the button of fate, and one lucky team member is going to be selected for a free core production game with all the stretch goals. Yes, how sweet is that? And to make this a little bit better and give yourself a chance for more votes, I'm going to post a tweet on my Twitter account that will be about this game, and it will be the tweet will clearly indicate that it is for the competition. I want you to follow me on Twitter, and I want you to post a comment on that tweet as well, and you can get up to 2 votes counting towards you as a team member. If your Twitter account name is different than YouTube, just put there in the comment what your YouTube username is, and that can get you a second vote. That way, when we hit the button of fate, we can take all the counts on Twitter and all the counts on YouTube. You can get up to 2 votes into the pool for your name, okay? So that's how we're going to do it. You don't have to do the Twitter thing. That's just if you want to give yourself a little bit of a better chance. But again, you got to respond to that tweet, follow me on Twitter, as well as make sure that your YouTube name is there on Twitter if it's different on Twitter than it is YouTube. That way I can kind of tie the names together. and I know who's who, okay? So that's how we're going to do the giveaway. I would suggest you follow me on Twitter regardless, even if you don't want to do that, because that's where I do all the announcements. I do post them in the comments of these videos as well, but I do all the announcements on Twitter. It's just a better form of communication. It's just easier to kind of see what's going on. So if you're part of the team, shoot over there and follow me on Twitter. It's just a lot better. Trust me. Okay, let's look through what we've got here on the board. There's a lot going on. We've got some tiles over here as well. Bear, don't let me forget those. We'll set them right there, and we'll get to that here in a second. Let's hit the miniatures first because they're just absolutely fantastic, and then we'll get the miniature cam down on the miniatures. We have the amazing, what I believe this is the kind of the first player token when you're sort of in that gets passed around. I don't believe this is one of the entities. I haven't run into this. I believe this is actually a token that kind of indicates who is the sort of first person, and then it goes around the round, right? So this is absolutely amazing. You win for one of the best, most complex, intricate tokens I've ever seen, probably in the history of my gaming review. So you win. All right, that's fantastic. And let's see, we'll get these masks. We need to have these out, so we're going to talk about those here in a second, because these masks are another really cool component of this game. These are all the awesome miniatures. You do have some entities here that you're going to interact with within different areas of this game. And here are those entities here. You can kind of think of these as almost like bosses that you'll run into and have to interact with as you're diving in and through the different parts of this dream world. These are the shapeshifter here miniatures. Pretty awesome. They'll do various things in the game. They will come out on the board when it's indicated they should do so, and you'll have to deal with those. And then some other little miniatures here as well. And again, it's just the prototype editions. There's just a few of them that are included here to be able to use for the gameplay. We've got these you can look at as like wound tokens, these little red glass beads. They cause pain. They're pain that you would receive in the game. They're like wounds. These little clear tokens are used just for general things. You'll put them on cards to track sort of where you are in the phase of that card, or that if you've used some type of action, some passive ability per your character, you can kind of mark a card with it. That's essentially what these are going to be used for. These little white kind of pearly ones are ether. And you will gain that in the game by accomplishing certain things. You'll gain it on cards. You'll gain it various different ways. And you can use this. It's kind of like the currency in the game. You'll use this to buy more action cards. You'll use this to do all kinds of things. I mean, there's lots of things you can do with ether. We'll actually read about that here on these player cards here in a minute. There will be a couple envelopes that are included in the game. There's one under this that says intro tile. Then there's one here that says 77 for the demo. I'm sure there'll be more of these in the production version of the game. And they have little secret things in them that will come out and be available to you as a player once you have unlocked or once a card tells you to do something. That is one thing that's very cool about this game. As you're playing the game, there is a set of rules you will go through, and it's not that long. It's a fairly short set of rules. After you read those rules and start to play the game, lots of different things will start to happen that aren't necessarily in the rule book. You'll learn about as you play the game. So there may be something on a card. Oh, draw card 82. Okay, I'll go through the deck, get card 82, pull it out. Oh, now all of a sudden there's a different set of rules that are activated for the game. So it's kind of cool as you play the game. You discover new things as players, and you learn new things about the game and how the game works. We'll go and we'll hit some of these tokens up front. These little tokens here are little water tokens. You'll use those in the game to kind of put those on an area that will indicate water is there. And then if there's a card that tells you to do something with that water, that's when it's activated. There's quite a few different terrains that are in this game that will be on the cards, and it will tell you if they're just in a spot, if they're on one of the tiles, or if they're in the whole entire area of that scene. When that happens, you will only use that type of terrain if there's a card that is actually saying, this is what this terrain does, and this is why it's a problem, and this is you're running into it. This is what's happening. Now, with that, there may be some things that I state in this video and or happen in the gameplay that may not be 100% accurate. I'm going to do my best job in this gameplay. This video is not about learning every little rule of the game. Team, it's a Kickstarter preview. This video is about understanding the mechanics of this game, why this game is so cool, and why you probably are going to want to get this game and experience this game, because it is absolutely a fantastic experience, like pretty much every Awaken Realms game that has come out so far. That's what this video is about, okay? This right here, these are these awesome little keys. Now, you will be able to acquire these in gameplay, and they will help you unlock scenes. So let's take a second and talk about scenes versus the world map. And this map has all the different areas, and it's just already kind of built out that you can travel to around in the world. So there's the downtown, the slums, the underground, the boundaries, the forest and villages, the city, the swamp, the port. These are all the different areas that you can travel to on the world map for this demo here. Okay, and it is set here on the board. And then what's going to happen is you're going to use this marker right here. You're going to start on this place called the Awakening. And you're going to move around this map, much like you would use cards to do movement. And when you land on these different areas, there's going to be things that you're going to have to do. You might have to draw one of these fate cards, or you might get to heal, or you might have to take pain, or you might have to do a random encounter with an advantage card. Just things that kind of modify random encounters. And those are just going to happen as you move around. You're going to have to move around that map to get to certain areas after you go through scenes. So you're going to start with a opening scene, and then as you beat those scenes, you're going to progress through this world map to other scenes. So it's kind of a concept or a mechanic from you're at a high level world, you're doing things that are on those spots, and then when you get to certain areas that have these keys, you can dive into scenes. If the scene is unlocked, which means you have cards and you have something that says that you can go to the next scene, then you can just go right in there. If the scene is locked, that's where these keys come into place. And if you do have these extra keys, you can use them to actually unlock scenes that you don't have access to yet. That's what these keys are so cool. We've got a few different wood bits here. These are going to be used for words, and these are going to be used for combat. When you do go into combat or actually commune with these different types of entities, you do have the choice to either commune with them and try to talk to them, or you can fight them. And that is a choice for you as a player when you kind of interact with them. That's what these are going to be used for. And then this little marker here is just used to put on the card to indicate what action that entity is going to be taking. And that will be dictated by the AI deck that we have here, which is the turn deck. The turn deck is really cool. And how it works, and we'll just jump here, is you do have these turn counter cards. And whenever you go into a scene, that scene will tell you how many turns you have to complete it. So you'll take a random number of those turns, let's say it's 4, most of them are 4, and you'll turn those over face up, you'll put those on the stack here, and then you'll put these back. Now what's nice about these is every one of them has a little bit of a different symbol on them right there, and that's all they have on them, just a simple symbol. And that symbol corresponds to symbols that are going to be on the entity cards, and that will tell you when you get to that entity what that entity is doing for that turn. It's kind of the AI of the game, and I really like the way that works, because it's a very, very simple mechanic, and it also, every time a turn is over, like after all the players have gone, it's kind of the next round, you'll flip that back over, so you only have so many rounds to get through the scene, and if you're not able to, you fail the scene. So that's a way that it's kind of the time clock that within this dream, as you're moving around, when you shoot off into some weird part of the dream to interact with something on a scene level, you better do it within a certain period of time, or it's going to just fall apart and you're going to get sort of pulled back out, and you won't get any benefits from that part of the dream. So that's how the turn counter is going to work. All right, let's go ahead and hit the rest of the cards, then we'll talk about the masks and the players. We do have sufferings. These are just things that are going to get put into your deck. Now, this game, at heart, is a crawler. It's what they're calling a dream crawler, but it is sort of a crawler, and it's also a deck builder. So you will have a deck as a player, and every player does have a good-sized deck here. And you will be taking that, and that'll be different actions that you'll have in that deck. You'll be able to use that hand of cards different ways. We'll talk about that. Well, suffering is just cards that sort of get mixed into that deck that are problems for you. And you want to get those out of your deck, and you can use Ether to actually get those out of your deck over time. But they're just another mechanic to mix into your deck that makes your deck not as strong as it could be. You do have 3 items that you'll start every scene with when you go into a scene as a group. You can decide how many items you want to put and go into that scene with. You can go in with 3, and you will have extras and various things you'll acquire as a group over the course of gameplay, and it's just stored right here in this storage area. So like I have a couple more items that I have here in the storage area that I decided not to use for my dive. I wanted the flashlight, the strategic plan, and the blue car. And each one of those have an action, and they do something different. It's very easy right on the card. You'll see that the card has some resources. I can cash this card in for 4 of these little yellow kind of hands anytime I want, and that allows movement. So the yellow is movement, the red is fight, the green is kind of a general tactic skill, but this is movement. So if I needed 4 movement, I could just say, you know what, I'm going to take this item, the strategic plan, cash it in, get rid of it, and then I can move 4 times. Or I can say I'm going to do this passive ability, and that just stays active unless the card tells you to discard it or it's a one-time use. Otherwise, it's just sort of a passive active ability that's always there. For strategic plan, it says each character draws 2 cards more at the start of each scene. So every time you go into a scene, you get to draw 2 cards more than you normally would. You can draw up to 5 cards when it's your turn. Up to 5. Maybe you don't want to draw all 5, because if you do run out of your deck, which is called your chest, it does start to hurt you in the game. You don't want to do that. You don't want to run out. So you may not want to draw as many cards. That's why it's up to 5. All right, we covered that. We've got our random encounters. These are just random encounters you're going to run into at that larger map. And these are just different types of things. Like this one says faceless creeps. There's all kinds of details that are on this card. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's very easy to understand how the card works and how it plays out after you understand what all the cards do. And again, rule set very simple. You essentially just play the game, follow the process, and the cards will lead you through the game and will help you play, as well as revealing new and more advanced rules. So it's a very easy game to start to play and get into. These advantages are other cards that add on to our random encounters, and they're just other little things that make the encounter a little bit different. It's a way that you can add to replayability. So as you play this game, there's different decisions and choices you're going to make. There's kind of paths where you have to make decisions. And you're not always going to have enough turns to do everything. You are going to have to make certain decisions and just go that route. Well, there you're going to get replayability every time you replay the game. You might make different decisions. You're going to get replayability when you do your random encounters. This is a shuffled deck. You get your advantages that add on. That's a shuffled deck. Everything is always sort of random from that perspective and adds a lot of replayability. We talked about turn counters. These are fate cards. These are other cards you're going to flip over at the world map level, and they're just going to do different things. The Car Stealer, for 2 turns, you can pay 8 movement, chase the Car Stealer. If you fail, discard a vehicle. Passage, discard 1 or more ether to relocate the team to the chosen space of this tile. So it's just different things that can happen as you're playing the game. Just you can almost think of the Fate deck like little events that trigger as you're at this world map level. Here we've got the secret tiles, the secret cards. Those are all going to reveal new things within the game as well as new rules. As you're playing the game, you're diving into scenes. This here is your start prologue deck with the things you're going to need to start the game. And this is your action deck, which is all the other actions you can take, and you can buy and purchase these and add them into your deck. And these are the items. So there's quite a few more items that you can acquire and get over the course of the game as well. Now let's get to these awesome masks, because this is a really cool concept as well. So when you get to a player, every one of the players is unique. It isn't a general player where they're all generic. They're all unique. So this player here has a special ability, just the player itself, and the backs of their cards all have this same image on it that has their special ability. And as you get more cards in your deck, there may be times where your top card is like just a standard action. That means this character action isn't available to you. It's only when your top card actually is showing your character's action you can take that action. It's just like a passive ability that's active every time your deck is sitting there and that is face up. Otherwise, every card is different. It does different things. But this guy, the tough guy, he can remove 1 like attack power for 3 blood, range of 3. So he can actually remove 1 of his special attack powers and kind of get rid of it and do 3 damage at range of 3, which is pretty substantial. It's a pretty big hit. Okay, that's his special ability. The Lucker here is 3 movement. Reroll any of your rolls. So you give up 3 movement. 3 of the yellow. You can reroll anything. And your specialist here, for 2 of the hands, more of just your general tactic, you can unflip 1 of your active cards. Now, that'll make more sense as we talk about the cards, but essentially you can have 5 active cards that are under each one of your players. And sometimes when you do things on those cards, it says to flip them over. Now, you can discard it as well, but if you flip it over and leave it there, you have the ability later to flip it back over. You may want to do that for special cards that give you, like, you know, passive abilities. So that's how that works. All right, so every character is totally different. Every character has a different focus. Like here, you'll see the power is the combat. Here, the power is more of movement. And here, the power is more of just general tactics. Now, any of these characters can do any of these things. But it may be smart if you need to really get somewhere that's far away on a scene. Go ahead and wait until it's your lucky character's turn, and they can move faster further by cashing in some of their movement tokens. These masks are another way to change the variability of the game and further customize each one of the characters and add to that replayability. So every one of these masks have a value on the back, an ability. When you start the game, every character will get a random they'll get 2 masks, and they'll use one of them. Now, they can use a different mask, you know, scene to scene. They can switch out their masks. They can change those things if they want to. If they think they might need a certain ability from a mask that's probably better for that particular dive. But that's how these masks work. And for instance, this one says hate. This is the hate mask. It says you may use each 2 of the yellow hands as one of the red attacks. So every 2 hands can be 1 attack. So it's just a way to better optimize your resources. This is what hate does, and every one of these are different. I have the haste mask here for lucky, and I have the wisdom mask here, the owl, the wisdom mask, which is probably my favorite. This is pretty cool. That there I have on our tough guy, and then our specialist has got the luck mask. Luck mask says you may re-roll any single die for free once per roll. Very powerful. So if you need to re-roll a die, that's going to come into real handy when you use these dice. We're going to talk about how these dice work, but this luck die, this comes into massive handiness when you need to re-roll it. Say you roll and you don't get what you want, you can go ahead and re-roll that luck die. So you're basically getting 2 chances on that luck die if you have this mask, if that's the die that you're rolling. So pretty awesome. And you can see there's a number of masks. So for each game, you'd be able to choose these masks to customize your character. All right, that's essentially what we have here for the characters. Let's hit these dice here. This is the luck die. We just talked about that. If you don't have enough resources to pay for something, you can choose as a player to say, I'm going to roll the luck die. Well, that's a 3, pretty good. But if you get a blank, let's say you needed three pieces of resources to pay for something, you only had 1. Okay, I'm going to roll the luck die and hope I get the 2 or 3 more that I need. If you roll nothing, you lose those resources. If you can roll this, which says you actually take a damage, you take one of these pain tokens, you don't want that either. All right, so there is a chance with this luck die. This right here is the AI action die. So when you're dealing with one of your entities, sometimes it doesn't have one of those symbols like we saw where it just has a clear symbol. It might have a question mark. If it has a question mark, that means that we don't know what that entity is going to do. It's kind of just fly by night. We're not really sure what it's going to do or how it's going to react. This is why you go to this die and you roll this die, and then you get what you would have, how it would react. This is the movement die. It's just going to basically tell you if you can move 1, if you can move multiple spaces, if you can move multiple spaces, plus you get to roll again. That's what this is going to be used for. Whoa. All right, and this last die here is going to be a die that's going to be used for various different fate rolls and things that happen throughout the game, and it will indicate specifically when you need to use this die. All right? That's all the components. That's all the stuff. Oh, other than we forgot our little turn 2 here. This is just a simple token that helps you remember. If at any point in time in the scene you have to do things on specifically the second turn of that scene, you will take this token and you will place it. Once you pull your cards, you'll kind of place it in between the first and the second card. So then when you go ahead and get rid of your first card and you're going into the second turn, you'll remember, oh, that's some things I need to do in turn 2. That is what this is for. It's very important. That's why they specifically made a piece, a component to help you remember as a player, because if you don't remember, it kind of mess up what's going on in that scene. Okay, that's all the mechanics of the game, and that's all the components of the game. So now we're going to do a little bit of gameplay. So let's go quickly to our intro tiles here for the demo of Etherfields. And it is intro tile number 1, the prologue, Somewhere on the Road. It says here on the card, and it's very simple. I'm just going to read what's on this card. It tells you exactly what to do. Top to bottom, it says enter, take 15 tiles. So not 15 tiles, it's the tiles that are marked 15. These are already included here, so here are the 4 tiles that are marked 15. Simply says right there 15. You'll see there's different. It says, 15 turn 1, number B, number C, number A, and they do have little numbers that are on the corners here, and you will correspond those numbers to this map. I'm just going to go ahead for the demo purposes and set these right over where they would go, right on top of the world map, like we were diving in to this area. Okay, so let's go ahead and read here. It says the reward for winning. Each player will get an ether. We will get card 477, and we will start chapter 3. We will take 29 and 587 intro tiles. Now each character may buy new cards. It says if you lose, reset the location, reset characters, enter again, add card 295 to the advantages deck. So there'll be things that you'll take out and you will put in the advantages deck, and that will be something that will end up, it's not going to be good for you, right? Like down the road, you're going to have to do an advantage with a random encounter, and it's going to be something that's going to modify it even further based on what you've learned within this dive of the dream, but you've lost. Okay? I have been driving for too long. Raindrops hit the glass. The movement of the wipers is hypnotizing. The road stretches endlessly through the dark forest. A strong wind rustles through the treetops. Ooh. I see something in front of the car. Someone. An instinctive turn, and the car falls out of the way. The engine goes out. The heart beats like a hammer. Between the trees, you can see the disappearing pale contour of a child. Something dark is following it. Is it just the wind, or do I hear a cry for help? Okay, then it tells me here that I have 4 turns. Your goal is to leave the forest, which would be a good thing. And then the whole location is a swamp. It indicates that right down here. Whole location is a swamp, but there's no cards that are indicating if that would be a problem for me. So I can kind of let that go for now. We do have 4 turns. We'll set that right over here. So that means we go to our turn counter. This deck would be already shuffled. We shuffle up. We take 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd flip those over, and that would be my turn counter for this scene. So I essentially have 4 rounds to complete this scene. Okay? Goal, get out. Now what we do here is we do A2, which would go right there. That's turn 1. A3 would go right there. A1 would go right there. And this one doesn't have a spot where it's located, so I'm just going to set that one right down there for now. And then you would turn over the card 15, which says turn 1, and you would be able to start the game. Now on this card, there's quite a few things that you're going to see, and those are just different spots around the board that you're going to be able to get to. Bear, why don't you load up the overhead cam so we can start getting in on some of these cards as I'm going through and kind of explaining these. But you do have different spots around the card that you can get to, and on that card there'll be different things you'll be able to access. And it will tell you right on the card. So, and it's cool. It had the little scene of like driving a car at night. And what's awesome about it is as you pull cards out of the secret deck, some of them will just be things that will say, well, this rule gets added or this thing changes. Some of them will actually look just like these cards, and they'll lay over top of these tiles, modifying the scene and modifying what's going on within that dive, depending on the decisions that you've made. So this one here, we enter right here. So you always enter where all these little S's are on the card. That's where all your characters are set. And then you basically have some flavor text that's right here. And then it gives you a choice. You have 2 different choices you can kind of do. It says, the card does not want to move. What's screwed up again? Option number 1, or path number 1, is let's check what happened to the car. So we can spend 4 of the green hands, and we can add tile 15A. So if we do that, we can then flip tile 15A and see what's going on. Or we can run after the ghost that we saw in the forest. That's going to take 2 movement. We can add card 15B. So we can choose what we want to do there. So that card would start. We would grab all of our characters. We'd put our characters down here below like that. And then we can start playing the game. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go to our decks and we're going to draw 5 cards. We can draw up to 5, but we're just going to draw 5 to start the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, that's the starting hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the starting hand. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the starting hand. Now, on these cards, there is one thing I did forget here, and it is printed right on the little tableau thing here. But there is a help card for the players that will list out exactly what these different things do, like red attacks, green you can kind of use for words to commune and or kind of general tactics, and the yellow is used specifically for movement. Each yellow is a movement. You'll have those resources on these cards you'll have to spend. And then on the back here it tells you what everything you can do with ether. So as we gain ether and we play the game, there's various things you'll be able to do. Get, cards out of your hand, buy cards, things like that. Okay, so we do have a starting hand now for every player, and we are going to say that our green player is going to go ahead and start here, and we're just going to do one turn to show you how the mechanics of this game play out. Now, it has nothing to do with spoiling anything. This is definitely a demo, kind of intro to the game. We could go through the entire thing, and there are other channels that have ran through the entire playthrough of this. We are not, because I wanted to spend some time on the mechanics and just how cool this game is and why this is such an awesome game. This gameplay here is just to show you how those mechanics start to work together. Okay, so we're going to go to green here, and we can have at any point in time 5 cards that are active. All that means is we take a card from our hand and we set it down there, and it stays down there. And usually those are cards that are going to give us passive abilities, but at any point in time we can cash those in for the resources that are on them. This is a card that can be put down in your action area here. Remember, max of 5. If it's just a solid colored card all the way around, it can go down here. If it's a card that has a white sort of edge like this, where it's kind of ghosted off white, that's like an immediate card. Those cards cannot be set out and put in your action area. They just have to be played from your hand, and you just get the resources. Like this one's very simple. Right here, you get either a green hand or a yellow hand. Right? So movement or general tactics. That's what this is going to be used for. You can use these cards to just cash in to do something. You can use these cards to cash in to pay resources for something else. That's how these cards work in general. And then some of them will have an ability at the bottom, much like this one does. And most of those are going to be ones you're going to be able to save and take either passively or whenever you want to. This one here, it says discard X card or draw X cards. So for however many, in the color of that little X is red, so however many red cards you have sitting out here, you can draw that many cards when you decide to get rid of it. So that's how these cards work. So it's kind of a mechanic of, do you want to put cards out in a tableau to set you up strategically for things that you might want, or do you want to just have a bunch of cards in your hand where you're just auto throwing them down to use them on the spot? Again, only 5 in the tableau, only 10 at a time in your hand. All right, so let's go here, and for the green, let's move here and see. So the green can do a lot of stuff. So let's just go ahead and move right here and try to check what's wrong with the car. So I need 1 movement to be able to get there. So I'm going to cash in this card because it has the 1 movement. All right, going to put it right there in my discard pile. And I'm going to move my specialist into that spot. Now that I'm there, I can take that action. It says for 4 hands, for green, I can add 15A. Okay, let's see if I have any greens here. I have 1. I have 2. You know what? I'm going to use both of these. Although this one's pretty powerful, I'm going to use both of them. That's going to be 1, 2, I need 4. And then I'm going to come here to my powers, and I'm going to use 2 of those, which is going to give me all 4 of them. And then it tells me that I can add 15A. So now I can go to 15A and flip it over. Ooh. And the scenes go right together. It kind of paints this picture. It's really cool. This one says, Dark Woods, Rainy Night. Place a universal marker on the 0 space of the track below. So this is going to be one of these that the universal markers are going to come into place, and it's going to go right there on that 0. And every time you do what it says here on the card, you're going to move that little marker up 1 until it ultimately gets on this success, which means you were able to start the car again. And then you get card 377. So you would go to this deck, you would look through, and you would get card 377. So that's how this one's going to be working. So now I know as players that this path is going to be all about trying to get that car started again. This path is going to be following the noise and the ghost. So maybe one of the other characters will kind of take that route and follow the ghost. So now what we would do here is I would come and I would say, all right, I've taken all the actions that I can take, and that's how this game works. You just take as many actions as you can. I've done all the actions that I can. I have 2 cards left. I'm just going to keep those in my hand. Actually, I'm going to take this card here that can fit in a tableau, and I'm going to set it right down here at the bottom. And I'm going to keep this one in my hand because I can't put it down there because it's got the white border. And that's it. That's the end of my turn. Then it moves up. Now we're going to go here. Well, this character actually can get pretty good with the movement. So let's see what we got in hand. I need 2 move. Let's see. 1. Ooh, awesome. It occasionally shoots, or it shoots occasionally. This is an awesome personal weapon. It's a gun. I'm going to go ahead and automatically lock that right into my tableau. I'm going to use this dodge card that has the 2 movement on it. The resources right there. Although this is a card that I can lock in my tableau, and it does have an ability, it's probably not going to be important for me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and use those 2, cash that in, and that will give me my 2 movement for Lucky to move right into that spot. Now I need 2 more movement to flip tile B, and I have this for 1, so I'm going to cash that in. I'm going to flip another one of my power tokens for another movement, and again, these power tokens are like free extra resources. They will reset every turn, and now I have it, and it says I can flip over tile 15B. Grab it, flip it over. Ooh. Another area, and right in the center of these tiles does have another little icon, and that indicates that it's night out. And again, it's another type of environmental thing that you have to deal with if it's a problem. This one says help, dark woods, rainy night, follow this voice, we wander through the forest. Or it says follow the white shadow, or over here, follow the voice, we wander through the forest. So there's 2 different ways that you can follow the voice. One of them is for 6 movement. One of them is for 4 green tactic. I just call the green hands the tactic. So for 4 green tactic, you can do something. For 6 hands, you can do something. They both will flip tile 15C. That was our last 4th tile. Okay, so you just basically choose, which one is probably more beneficial to you to do. I don't know. It looks like this guy's here. It only takes 4. I'll probably take this character and move this character over here and do that on the next turn. And then I'll leave this character here, and then I'll probably use these 2 characters together to help move along and get the car started. That's more than likely what I would do. Okay, I'm left with a bunch of movement, which I'm going to keep. You know what? There's the 4 movement, so maybe I go with Lucky. Maybe I go with Lucky on the next turn and do it, because there's the 4 movement that I need, and that way that's less movement for the specialist, and these 2 characters can move over towards this spot to start working on the car. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, turn's over, I'm done, there's no more actions I can take. I'm now to the tough guy, and I'm going to be wanting to move to start that car. So I need movement. Let's see, I can do that one, I can do that one. I'm going to put that right in my tableau, and I need 2 movement. Those are enough, so I'm going to cash those in for the 2 movement and go 1, 2. Now, I can do 4, hit, or 6. Now, he's good on hit, so I'm going to go ahead and cash in the peeving, because I can do that, even though I just put it in my tableau. I'm going to cash it in. There's 1, 2, and I'm going to cash in one of these. There's 3, and I'm going to flip one of these over, and there's 4. So there's my 4, and now I can move that along to the 1. I have 1 card left in hand, and I'm going to just keep it in my hand. That's going to be it. And that's all I can do. I've used all my actions, and I moved it along 1. Now we would reset. This would move, and now it is this player's turn. So we will now start with this player. This player was on the way to movement, so you can draw, and I will draw the full 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll look at my hand here. So now I got all those hands I need. All I need is 2 movement. Well, there's 1. And there's 2. So I'm going to cash those in for the movement. I'm going to do 1, 2. I'm going to cash all these in. Now I have the 4 that I need. And now it tells me that I can get to tile 15C. I'll flip that over and put it right there, because now it does indicate on this side. It goes in spot A4 of the overall map. Here, now it looks like we're going to get into it, because now we have multiple options. Hazy figures in the moonlight. It is possible that these are? We don't know. We get a special card for that. Soon, my thoughts and memories, I have remind myself. We get another card if we go that route. Here, there's something else. A whole nother tile comes out if we come here. So there's lots of options to do things over here. And we're probably going to be ending up to running into an entity because we've kind of chased the shadow down a dark corridor here. All right, so that's what I'm going to do on my turn there. And I do have more movement that I can take, and I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to cash this Ethereal Riddle in right here, and I'm going to do one. Now, which route do I want to go? Do I want to go here, or do I want to go... You know what? I'm going to go here, but I need 4 green hands, and I only have 3, so that's the end of my turn. I'm going to cash that in. Other characters can't cash in on that, okay? Oh, that was a new turn. Sorry. So this would have been flipped over, and now we would be here. Let's see what this one says. It says additional movement, roll before entity's action. Okay, so that's just something that's going to happen when an entity comes into play, and now it's that type of action. Okay, so we're now through a turn. We're going on the next one, and all of these would have reset as well. So we'll go ahead and reset those. Turns over. Now we're to this guy. This guy is going to draw his 5 more. See if he can keep working on that car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I said I only do 1 turn, but now I'm getting caught up in it. This is always what happens. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3 here. Resources. Flip this over for 4. Now the car is 1 more. Can we actually get it going? Nice. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna flip another one over for 4. And now, success, the car is started. We get card 377, and that's all I'm going to do on my turn. We look through this. We grab. We go for 377. And here it is, card 377. What is it going to tell us? No one knows. Well, we'll see. All right. Ooh, this is one that modifies the scene. So now we're going to take this on card A2, and we're going to put it right over the card. And you can see what happens is it modifies, and it does fit perfectly right over the card, and then it modifies the card's scene. So that's how that works. It's going to sit right there and modify the card's scene, and now we can now it's totally, and this guy would still be here, and now we can see what's going on. So now the road leads through a tunnel. Should we leave from here, or let's run after the ghost? Well, we've already chose to run after the ghost, so essentially this guy on his next turn is just going to work on now 2 green hands, which is perfect. It's optimized in the green, and then we're going to get card 359 when we drive through that tunnel and what happens. So nice work. The car is started. Did we have any other movement? Because it would be nice to kind of move. We did. I'm going to cash that in right there. So technically I didn't want to take my turn. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to move right back to here. So I'm kind of back to this general area. All right, turns over. Now we're down here to the green. The green is going to draw their 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I'm choosing to draw up to 5. And I'm going to go ahead and just burn 2 of these. Whoops. Pull that card back up here, the old tableau. And I now will get card 359. So let's grab this deck and search through what happened when we went through the tunnel. Card 359. Where is it? Card 359. There it is. Okay. And let's see what it says. Okay, so this is different. This doesn't modify a scene. It actually gives you some more information. Oh no, wait. Where are the keys? Did we lose them? Has anyone taken them? So just like a dream, we pulled off the side of the road. We got the car started again. Now it's like, oh, the keys are gone. Where's the keys? Where are the keys? Do you have a key? No, no one has a key. If yes, then when all characters are on a tile A2, you will leave the forest. So if we have a key, all characters on this tile, boom, we're out, we're gone. If no one has a key, the car does not start, you must find the key. Okay, so the car is started, now we got to find the key. So what I like to do is I'll just take this card and I'll just set it simply right here. So that's just an indicator that I'm looking for something. So now I know I've got to get these characters tracked out over here, at least one of them. And I got to get these characters tracked out over here, and we got to start getting through this card, because more than likely we're going to get into an entity battle. We're going to get into something that's going to earn us a key. So what I'll do there is I'll go ahead and stop the gameplay, and what essentially happens is, that is what happens. When we get here, we actually are going to get into an interaction with this entity right here, the she-wolf, pretty sweet miniature, and that wolf is we can either commune with it or battle it, And there will also be something that will come out that we'll call signs. You'll get to open this envelope as you go through this, and you'll get these little tokens. And whenever you see, these tokens are interesting because they have little pictures on one side and they have rewards on the other side. Whenever you see a part of this picture somewhere in the tile, and you're going to have to be watching for it. It's kind of a puzzle. When you find it, it's like, oh, I have a sign that has that picture. You then get the reward that's on the back. And one of the rewards that you'll get will be the key as well as ether. And that's how you're going to get that key to be able to start the car and then make your way out of this scene back to the main world of the dream. Okay, team, that is essentially how this game plays out, how all the mechanics work together, and how this game works. We only scratch the surface in this gameplay of different types of encounters and cards and things that you're going to learn and reveal just within this one scene before you go back to the overarching map to do a whole nother adventure and multiple other types of scenes. All right? That is Etherfield. Absolutely amazing. Don't forget the giveaway. Follow me on Twitter. Remember that tweet on Twitter. Hit the subscribe. Comment below. Bear will hit that button of fate 4 days before the Kickstarter ends. You'll be able to get in on one of the sweetest Kickstarters of the year, which is Awaken Realms Etherfields. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time, Bear. Let's roll!